Hey everyone, James here trying to do a bit of good. Today we're going to be talking about the exec function of Mongoose, which is our ODM, which connects to MLab, which hosts our Mongo database. In front of me, I have a bits collection, which holds documents of just the board members here at Bits of Good. Um, and each document holds a first name, a last name, an age, and a birthday with a date data type. So let's just go jump right into the actual code and define what the exec function is. So I'm first going to give a little bit of high level overview of what this application does. First, we're requiring our actual packages. We're setting up Mongoose. We have our get routes, and we have our server running on port 3000 unless you've specified otherwise. So let's actually run this application. So I'm just going to do npm start, and cool, we're listening on port 3000 and we've successfully connected to MongoDB. So when setting up when we're setting up Mongoose here, we'd first have to make sure this is mainly just setup and figuring out if m.sh is here, if we have a MongoDB URI inside my m.sh file, and if we've actually been able to connect. And that's why we have the console log success connected to MongoDB. And if there's an error, we'd know about it. And then we're doing the physical connection. This is an on function, so it's just waiting for the connection to happen. And if there's an error, same thing would happen. It would go to this function. And then next we've defined our bits schema, our model inside Mongoose. I showed you the actual collection that refers to it on MLab. And as before, we have a first name with the data type string, last name data type, last name string. Don't know why this loaded, but again, weirdly, but perfect. So let's talk about our get route right now. Right now in the get route, inside the actual localhost, we ran a query called a function bit.find. Every model has a find function, and we're just checking with Mongoose if all the documents from there. And we've talked about this before. And all we're doing right now is just sending the documents to our application. So before we get into the exec function, I want you to first recognize that the find function is actually just a query. And this query is independent of whether or not it gets a callback function. What we're doing here is immediately dealing with the documents we get back from find, because this callback function directly runs the actual find function. But with the exec function, and exec stands for execute, because find is just a query, we are holding it. It doesn't have to be run immediately. Actually, the power of the exec function is because multiple queries can happen and overlap with each other to have more complex queries. So in this application, we're just basically using bit.find, getting all the documents, and immediately after, in a separate, similar to our promises with .then, calling .exec to actually run. It takes a similar function, callback function with error and documents, and all we're doing is just res.json to docs. And if we run this again by saving it and ending our server and starting it up again, cool, and run it again, and basically the same thing happens. This is just a very simple explanation, simple example. You'll see later in the later videos the power of what exec can have.